Fun dad fact number 5. The first president of our country, George Washington, who is also known as the father of our country, actually fathered no children of his own. I'm Matt Howes, and this is Shits and Giggles, a podcast for dads. Well, welcome back. Hey there, winners. Shits and Giggles, Podcast for Dads, episode number 12. Good to hear you're still listening. How do you hear someone listening, you might ask? I don't really know. Just something I'm saying. But I actually wanted to start off with something interesting. It's a blessing and a curse today. Most new diapers have an indicator strip on them. It tells you it's yellow, it'll turn blue when the baby has soiled themselves. There's no differentiation between a poopy diaper and a pee-pee diaper. But yeah, they are, Penny doesn't like to sit in a wet diaper for very long. And who would? Why would you? I don't know. But, all of a sudden you can look over and through most of her thinner outfits, you can see if she has a blue stripe. Right? So that's great. Long are the days where we hopefully don't have to worry about diaper rash because we're changing her before she gets anything like that. But that being said, we're probably going through twice the amount of diapers, if not more, than our parents did with us if they didn't have an indicator. Every time we see blue, we change it. Penny doesn't like to sit in a blue diaper, and who would? It's a sad diaper. It's so blue. Why would you want to sit in that? But yeah, we do see it, and literally she will sometimes pee 3 separate times in like as many minutes. I've gone and changed her, and you see, oh, she's fussing. Well, she's got a diaper, so you start with diaper, move to bottle, figure out what you need to do. But the indicator strip is a blessing and a curse. It is also definitely, it's for sure increased the amount of diapers people buy. I don't know if that's necessarily great, but I enjoy it. I like knowing that she's clean, she's happy. But I do have an issue with how often we are changing her. I feel like, and my mother-in-law even goes, well, I just let him sit in a diaper until I had to change it. And I think that's how our parents were with us for the most part. But I also do think that the amount of times that people are developing diaper rashes now. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about just to start off. A very interesting thing, But we'll go back to, I want to touch upon a subject I was talking about last episode and the further adventures in daycare. Well, we went to Shepherd of the Hills. This is the third place we've gone to see for Penny's daycare, as the moment is creeping its way up. We enjoyed the facility. It was very up-to-date, looked very modern, which I guess is just like me saying very up-to-date twice, so almost unnecessary. There were a lot of people there, and as always, the same questions. If you need the questions, listen to episode 11. If you're looking at daycares, I gave a list of some very important things you should make sure that you ask at the end of the episode. I believe it's somewhere around there, but I'm not going to go into that again. I asked all my questions. They had satisfactory answers, I suppose, but I wasn't in love with it. I still, KinderCare is kind of my jam. And I'll put it to you like this. I don't want to go too crazy into the details on this. I have a couple things I wanted to talk about for a while now, and I'll get to those. But the people at the Shepherd of the Hills place were very clinical, very, it seemed like, and there was easily 200 kids there when we were there. So there's plenty of kids. Now, their ratio is 3-to-1, which is one less than KinderCare or tutor time, which we've been to before, which is nice, but I really don't think that adds much of a difference to me. I did notice that the people who were helping or who were monitoring the infants didn't seem very engaged. They were sitting in a chair. They were just kind of lounging, or not lounging. I know they were doing their job, but they definitely didn't seem engaged. They didn't seem like they really knew who. It was just a bunch of babies they're taking care of. They left 2 kids in the swings just as they were sleeping, unmonitored, with blankets, which I think is inappropriate, but just because of the suffocation risk. That's why you can't have blankets in most cases anyways. But I don't know, it just seemed weird to me. Didn't seem like they were super involved. Like again, at KinderCare, they were on the floor. They knew the kids' names. They were there. They seemed like they genuinely cared. It was a much smaller. I'd say there was maybe 80 people maximum would be at KinderCare, maybe 100, but this place was huge. It reminded me of a school, which is not the worst thing in the world. There was a march of children right by us as we first went in there, and it was all very, but what my mother-in-law pointed out was that one of the chicks in the back that was walking the kids out there was like, okay, come on, let's go, I'm in Jesus' army. Well, she was phoning it in, and this is where I come in with my opinion on this in general. It's great to have a nice updated facility. It's great to have, a big staff, a lot of people there. It's great. But when the staff doesn't seem like they're genuinely interested in your kids, and they should be, you're paying a mortgage payment for them to be there. It just seems like they're not going to get the care that they need. My kid's crying. I want them to go over and I want, oh, hi, Penny. Oh, you're okay. I understand there's a difference between coddling and being a caretaker. But an example from Shepherd of the Hills. We went out into their yard. They have a very, very nice playground. The best outdoor facility that I think we've seen. And there was a kid, Sarah and I were there. My mother-in-law was there. The teacher or whoever was showing us around. We were just chit-chatting. And this young man, this little boy, he was probably one, maybe at most. He was walking, maybe two, I don't know. And he's crying, and he walks over to me. Right? There's a bunch of adults that the ratio was fine out there. I get it. He walks over to me, and he just reaches out his little hand, and so I hold his hand. Immediately stops crying, which. Great. I know I'm Father of the Year in general. I can be anyone's Father of the Year, I suppose. But, it's I didn't have a problem. I personally had no issue with this. It's not my kid. But we're strangers. We are not people who are even enrolled there. We didn't have to submit any identification there. And the teachers that were out there are just watching this kid walk up to a complete stranger and hold his hand. And this kid ended up following us around, and no one was really monitoring him. And that felt weird to me. I don't want Penny to be walking up to strangers and just holding their hands, especially people who are we don't have any affiliation with that school. They could be, it could be anyone walking through there. I know, again, it's always the security is always an issue. I do like their security, though. No one gets a code. They have to be buzzed in by a receptionist. Every single person. No one gets everybody has to go in the same way, so there's no risk of anyone keeping a code. But yeah, this kid just walking around crying, and I think, what if that's my daughter? And then what if that's the way they treat kids who are constantly upset about things? Like, I don't want Penny to be the kid that they say, oh, well, she just gets upset, so we kind of let her cry it out and that's it. No, that's not what I'm paying you for. That's not what I'm literally selling organs to pay for you for. I want you to have some level of familiarity with my kid, and in a place as massive as this, I don't see that being a thing that happens, and I don't like it. Again, it was a great facility, and it's fine for people who want that, but it's not, for me, it's not about where you drop your kids off. It's about who you drop your kids off with. And that's more important to me. A kid's not going to know, I said this last episode, the difference between a $10 million toy and a 5-cent toy. They're just no fun. They know quality when they're older. They know just entertainment when they're younger. Like, they know people who care about them and they respond to it. And they know people who don't. I don't want my kid to be left to cry in a playground and then hold a stranger's hand for comfort when there's people that I am literally paying to be there for my kid. And that's how I feel about that. And we went to a different part of the facility. This kid followed us, and we're still outside, mind you. And he could have just wandered into this gated area that we went into as well. There was no one. He walked back and forth on the other side of the gate, just crying and staring out for us. And it had lost his shirt at one point between the 2 seconds that we had not looked at him and when he followed us. So that's another weird thing, I guess. But again, I'm not really shitting on Shepherd of the Hills. I don't like when I feel like my child's not going to get the attention that they deserve. And I'm sorry, if it were a free program, I would understand. I know that it's through the church, so that it's cheaper than a lot of the other places. But I don't like the idea of paying you to ignore my kid. And I'm like, hey, you don't know how at home, I'm not one of those let her cry it out kind of guys yet. I mean, I know that that's going to happen at some point. You got to let her do it. We've been letting her sleep for an hour before we go to bed now. We got the monitor on. She's fine. But, just if my kid's crying, I want you to take care of him. That's your literal job. That's what I have for my further adventures in daycare. So I'll move on to what I've been wanting to talk about for a couple days. We went to the family, all went out for an anniversary of my wife's grandfather's passing. R.I.P. Opa, we love you. And we went out to like a Teppan restaurant, enjoyed it, and there was a carnival, the Simi Valley Carnival. And we all went over to it, decided to have ourselves a little bit of a time. I took Penny, it was a hit or miss. We don't know if she's going to go crazy. It's going to be loud, but I'm exposing her to more and more, chaos to see how she responds, and then we'll respond in kind. So far, she has been a trooper. She loves car trips. When she's moving, she's fine. She never really has any meltdowns besides when she wakes up and she needs food and we're heating up the bottle, Or if she's in a crappy diaper, who knows. But we went to the carnival. There was a wonderful band playing. They're the Joaquin Phoenixes. Actually, a friend of mine, I believe, used to play in that band, but they play really good Johnny Cash music. It was very enjoyable. We were going around looking at some of the rides. Now we have a pretty big, my nieces, both of my nieces, and then my sister-in-law's sister and their kids, and I guess they'd be my nieces. When there's so many degrees of separation, it's kind of hard to know what it is that you call them, but they're family, and that's that. We had a bunch of people with us, and my little niece Kylie, I hear someone say, have Uncle Matt do it, and I was like, oh, what is it? Usually it's get a shoulder ride or something. Well, it wasn't get a shoulder ride, okay? There was this giant monstrosity of a ride. It had a big tower in the middle, and you had to climb up through an obstacle course and then climb up a very, very skinny spiral staircase to the top and then slide down on a burlap sack, like a slide. Yeah, great. You got a friggin' 4-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old. Go for it. Maybe not a 2-year-old, but yeah, this is fine, and I'm like, come on. So I go up to the Connie, and I was like, listen, guy, I'm obviously too big for this, right? I can't go on it. I'm literally giving this guy every excuse to say, no, yeah, sorry, buddy. I got my niece there, and I'm like, oh, no, I might not be able to go, Kai. Sorry. Well, he's like, oh, I don't care. Like, I guess why should I have expected a Connie to care? But he didn't, and I think, there would have been a lawsuit there later for sure, because I climbed up this thing. So all the staircases were about as wide as my hips. In fact, at one point, I think the second or third staircase through the obstacle course, I had to pivot sideways to do. Then I'm walking over a aluminum rope bridge, which was, it's shoddy at best. This is Carnival equipment, so it's not super sturdy, but they do safety test it. And we get to the tower, where inside it's an aluminum tower that there's these very small spiraled up aluminum staircase to climb up the tower. It is, I shit you not even as wide as my shoulders. And so I would have had to it'd be like standing still, turning in a circle, climbing to the top of this thing. And God knows if the hole above was even big enough for me to get out, because I was like, nope, I'm not a claustrophobic man by any means, but that was like, oh, we're asking for the crane to have to come and get me for sure. And so I tell my little niece, I'm like, oh, Kai, I'm sorry, I cannot fit up there. Oh, but Uncle Matty, I need you to do this. Oh, sorry, Kai, I'll get stuck. And then she doesn't care, obviously. So I walked down. She, of course, didn't want to go back. So we walked down to the back down the aluminum bridge, and there's a little platform area that you can overlook the whole carnival. And I was like, oh, sorry, honey, we'll walk back down. And this cute little girl, probably the same age as Kylie, was like, oh, I can take her up. And I'm like, oh, Kai, do you want to go up with her? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, godsend, thank God this kid deserves to go up this ride, but I'm not going to get stuck. Hey, look, if I get stuck in there, the ride shuts down for everybody. So, be real, okay? But yeah, so the little girl takes her up, and I lean over and I can see the slide. This slide was like half the width of my hips. I'm telling you, if I tried to go down that, there's a guy at the top. That guy top probably for sure would have said, nah, kid, you're not going down there. But I would have broken this thing. I would have gotten stuck. It would have been like that Always Sunny episode where they got stuck in the tube and the kids just kept piling up behind them, and eventually the water was just stopping. This wasn't a water park, but I'm referencing an episode of a TV show. But I would have died. It was ridiculous. And this guy at the bottom, okay, I get it. It's your job just to take tickets. This isn't it is probably their livelihood. Hey, oh no, you're okay, guy. I'm like, I'm giving you every reason to tell me no. That's all I need you to do. Tell me no. Whatever, take 4 tickets. And so, thank God, the little girl took Kylie up there, and I watched her go down the slide. She had a blast. She was so happy. And then I had to crab walk my ass back down the ride through all backwards to the one way only, and I'm pushing kids out of the way like Godzilla, like, get out of my way, I'm going down. Finally I get off, whatever. The guy gave me my 4 tickets back. Fair. Like, transactionally, I kind of really didn't care, but he chased me, actually. He's like, oh, here's your tickets. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I gave them back to my nieces. Let them do with it as they please. But yeah, so that was very interesting. Oh, and mind you, I had to climb this Everest of a ride. It was 100 degrees outside. So I am sweating my balls off. And it was hot, unforgiving. We had 2 burp cloths. Nope, we had 1 burp cloth and a sweat rag for daddy. That's what happened there. Of course, all while carrying my daughter around because I enjoy having her up against me if I can. And I'm like, whatever. Of course, I hand her to my wife. She's almost soaking wet. Because, it's hot. We live in sunny Southern California. It's crazy. But that's it for that monstrosity. We actually moved over to another ride. It was like a little, 4 cars on a track. Not like a roller coaster, but they roll around the circle for a while. It's fun for the kids. Adults could sit on it too, but I was like, I'm good. I'm just going to sit here with my kid. At one point, I noticed that my brother-in-law is getting irritated. Like, he seemed really mad. I'm like, oh, I wonder, I'm not mad, but like uncomfortable. And I didn't really ask him about it then. And I talked to my father-in-law. I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, oh, well, Matt was just, my brother-in-law's name is Matt, by the way. So it's very confusing when I talk about him. But so Matt was just weirded out because it was this guy who was taking pictures of the kids. Like, he was standing there with a camera taking pictures, waiting for Kylie and Leanne and them to come around on the ride to take pictures of them. And he says, well, that's okay. But I saw he had like a couple of credentials around his neck. So, it was probably okay. And then I find out that all the parents that were around were talking about this guy who was taking pictures. Like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? But no one asked him who he was. Like, no, everyone just, I assume this is this is an issue I have with society today. This is the someone else is going to take care of it attitude that gets kids kidnapped. This is the kind of stuff that really fucks people's lives up because no one can be bothered to do something. I'm not blaming my father-in-law or my brother-in-law, but it's something that there was probably 15 parents around this thing. I didn't notice it. And I can't say that I would have done anything either, but I'm trying to put myself as a new parent into a mindset to notice things like this and to do something. Look, you could be an asshole and just tell the guy to go fuck off, or you could just be a genuine human being and be like, hey man, I noticed you're taking pictures of my kids. I'm not just going to assume that because I could put a lanyard around my neck and look like I have credentials too. He had a wide angle lens, but perverts can be people who have nice cameras, by the way. Spoiler alert. Perverts can probably afford nice cameras if they wanted to. They're weird people. They have their weird interests. And, and no one goes up and talks to this guy. And this is the problem, a big problem with society today. Everyone thinks someone else is going to do something. And so I'm trying to now, having been involved in this situation, this guy's gone, but I'm trying to mentally prepare myself to confront people who are acting strange around my kid, to get in that mindset. I don't want to live in this bullshit society of someone else is going to take care of it. This is why some people will die during emergencies because they assume someone else is going to call 911. If you're the 5th person to dial 911 when there's an emergency, I don't think anyone's going to get mad at you. They're not going to be like, sir, you're banned from 911. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry, I tried to help, assholes. But like, this is just someone in a very crowded carnival setting where kids are like, not lost, but like, we had a big group of people and I would turn around for a second and half of them would be gone. And it's like, okay, where are my nieces? Where is everybody? And it's super easy. Carnivals are prime real estate for perverts, kidnappers, sex traffickers, all kinds of stuff because they're so crowded. It's so chaotic. There's zero security outside of where you get in. And there's all kinds of weird stuff happening. So it's not weird when something weird happens. It's literally like, oh, someone grabs a kid. Oh, no, sorry, that's my kid screaming because we didn't let him on the ride. Oh, okay, that's fine. Like, and meanwhile, this kid's getting kidnapped, and that's the end of it. And you know, how sad would you be if you found out later that you could have stopped something by asking a simple question? I can't take my kid to the doctor with a busted arm without having to be removed from the room, and then the kid gets questioned, my wife gets questioned, and I get questioned separately, and God forbid I fucking forgot how something happened during that, and it screwed up. The Department of Children and Families is going to take my kids away from me flat out now. That's just the society we live in. Luckily, it's not that's a little bit of a characterization of the situation, but it is that. It's the same as, like, you know, when if you take your wife and she has like a busted eye, she got hit in the elbow with something, the husband gets removed, the dad gets taken out, and they're like, hey, you can tell us if it was him. And then they don't even believe the person who's saying, no, it was a natural thing, it happened, it's not the end of the world. You know, something bad happened. And, you know, we live in a society today where it's okay to ignore everything, but when you go to get genuine help for something, you are treated as not the victim, the bad guy. And, you know, I'm going to start. I suggest dads out there, start looking, start listening, start confronting. Oh, so what? This guy, maybe he was from the paper. He probably was. But you know what? The best way to find that out is go and ask him. Hey, say, guy, let me see those credentials. For all I know, you look at his lanyard and it would say, you know, 99 kid toucher on it. And you're like, oh, this is a red flag. Maybe I should fucking do something. There are cops around, but they're all at the gate. And this guy's just wandering around with the camera doing whatever he wants. And again, if I had the name, I wouldn't say it because I'm sure he was fine. But there's a shitty amount of people out there. There's an amount of shitty people out there who aren't good people. And it's so hard. Everyone's treated so badly when they go for help in certain situations that they're afraid to confront someone for fear of being yelled at. Like, I'm going to ask people from now on. I'm going to look. I'm going to be more observant, and I'm going to be solid. I'm going to be someone who interacts. I'm going to be the guy who everyone is waiting to do something because they're sure someone else is going to do it. That's who I'm going to be. And I suggest all you people out there to also be that guy, be that girl, be that anyone who's actually taking an interest in what's happening. Put your head up from your phone for 5 goddamn minutes. Take a look around, okay? Like, your text message can wait. If there's something creepy happening, do something about it. No, nothing's happened to my nieces, you know? It's I'm sure, again, it's fine. But these are the things that we're ignoring now. We live in someone else is going to do it. I'm going to be someone else if that's the case. I will be the Superman the world is needed, you know? And just take a lesson from me. This was a situation where I didn't even notice anything weird was happening, but I should have. Everyone else did, but they didn't do anything, and they should have. Just asking someone about something is not inappropriate. Like, it's like, hey, you're staring at my kid and taking pictures of my kid. Hey, I didn't sign a release. So are these going in the paper? Well, I feel like there's a lawsuit there, so no one signed releases. You know, I don't, that's what I have to say about that. I hope you can take some solace and maybe take some responsibility and some accountability for the things that happen around you. You know, if you just sit and let things happen, then things are going to happen, and you're the one who could have stopped it. You know, that's that. Moving on to everyone's newest favorite segment, Good News, Dad News. Okay, fellas, I'm going to drop the hard truth on you for this one. A, this is not a happy news article. Okay, it's not. But B, I have to point out, it is really, really difficult to locate news articles that are about dads that are good news or heartening news. You know, I've found a few. It's hard. And I look day to day, and it's just a lot of them start with shitty father this, and it is a shitty person, so there's not even like a dual redeemability to it, or something like this article that I'm about to read. But I want to point out, I do try to find good ones. And if you guys have good articles that you've read, I'm happy if you'd send them to us at the email. I am happy to read those. It's just harder to find than some of the worse stuff, again, like this article. It is from the New York Post. A dad jumps in front of subway train while holding 5-year-old daughter. Begins: a father jumped in front of the oncoming number 4 train in the Bronx, holding his backpack-wearing 5-year-old daughter Monday morning in a suicide attempt, killing himself and injuring the child, police and witnesses said. Okay, the incident happened around 8 a.m. at the elevated Kingsbridge Road station in the Kingsbridge Heights section of the borough. Authorities said the 45-year-old man, whose identity was not immediately released, leaped in front of a southbound train with his daughter in his arms before horrified strap hangers. I assume that's a term for people who are on the subway. I don't know what that's what the article says. Emergency responders pronounced the man dead at the scene while his daughter was rushed to Jacobi Medical Center with minor injuries. The child's mother met the girl in the hospital, police resources said. Witness Jennifer Hubb said the father had the child in his arms when he jumped on the tracks as the train was coming. Listen, mental illness aside, I assume this has something to do there. If you're going to go down, maybe don't take the most important things with you. There's no excuse for killing yourself. Mental illness is horrible. And just suicide, depression, it's all bad stuff. I mean, no one's saying it's good. But if you could avoid fallout, if it has to be done, don't take your 5-year-old with you. Someone who doesn't even have the ability to know what depression truly is. Someone who hasn't lived a long enough life to be sad about anything super important. And you're taking them with you in your batshit crazy attempt at... And then you think about this, you jump in front of a train. The guy who's driving the train is going to be looking right at you, and he's going to blame himself. You're hurting. Plus 40, there was like, they said there was like 40 people, the 20 or 30 people were screaming, trying to get the train to stop, according to Hub, the witness. And oh my God, like these people are scarred for life. You just see someone get hit by a train is going to live with you. And I can't believe that a father would do that to his daughter. You trying to kill yourself and your daughter? Like, look, if it's got to be what you got to do, go for it. Go put the exhaust hose in the window. I say don't. There are hotlines out there. There's help to be had. But don't take someone else with you. It's like people who decide to drive I'm going to kill myself, and they drive into oncoming traffic. That's not just you're affecting. It's a horrible, horrible thing to have done. But luckily, the girl was remarkably unscathed. Very little injury, only superficial injuries, according to the article. So that's great to know that she's going to have to live with that for the rest of her natural life. The image of that, the thought of that her father was happy with the idea of jumping in front of a train with her in his arms. Those are things that you can't unknow. There's probably not a whole lot of good things in the near future for that little girl, but I hope she does come to find out that it had nothing to do with her, and hopefully she can move on and find some semblance of a life where she doesn't have to constantly relive the fact that her father killed himself with her in front of her. And then she, and then the wife finds out about it by phone and met her at the hospital. Like, holy shit, imagine that phone call. Oh, and it's, again, I try to find good news articles. This one's just from this past weekend, or from today, maybe. I think so, because, it's from today, which would be the 23rd of September, because obviously I'm not releasing this until tomorrow, which would be the 24th of September. And you wouldn't know any of this because it'll be released, and you'll already know this stuff, so whatever. But imagine getting that phone call. Imagine, I get a phone call. Penny's in the hospital. Your wife killed herself, and she tried to kill your daughter too. Why don't you come pick her up? Okay, there's a lot to unpack there, for sure. But, Jesus, that's just fucked up. I'm going to do my best to find a good news article for next week's episode. I'll do my darndest, and I will come back at you with something great. But unfortunately, guys, I do have news alerts for dad news and good dad news, father news, blah, blah, all set up. And every time one comes up, it's the father and son fell to their deaths while rock climbing, was one of them. Father is such a bad parent, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, I want to grab one of those articles and be like, he wasn't a bad parent, he's being slandered. But then you read the article and you're like, he seems kind of like a bad parent. So again, I will do my best to get a better article for next week, but this was very new, very topical, and I don't think you needed to know my opinion on it. But it's, again, if you're having trouble out there are people to call. You can talk to anyone, and if you feel like you can't talk to anyone, just know that you can. You can call me. You have the hotline. You can call. This is a suicide hotline. I don't have it on me. I'll probably link it somewhere. But if you're depressed, talk to somebody. I've been very depressed before, and I found just talking even to a complete stranger. Go to a bar, have a drink, unless you can't drink it. You're an alcoholic, and it's fine. Go to the bar, talk to someone random, unload your problems on someone you're never going to see again. But don't ever let it affect your family, your kids. You just can't let it happen. Moving on, I'll take a breath from that. I guess we're going to talk about where is my penny at developmentally? Beep. All right, guys out there, it's finally here. My daughter has started to, she's moved on from her stoner laugh and is now officially at a giggle. And with the massive shit that I cleaned up this morning and the others my wife have done today, it is finally here. We have the shits and the giggles. It's there. My farty, gassy, beautiful daughter is giggling. It's amazing. She is now very vocal. She's talking. She's enjoying the sound of her own voice. She'll respond. If I try to repeat the same noise back to her that she makes, like she does the goose, the guys, and she is having a blast. And I got her to just keep on talking one day. Probably 20 minutes. We were having ourselves a little girl talk on the changing table. And I was like, no, you're going to keep talking. We're going to just stay here. That's what we're going to do. You cutie little patootie. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, not even 3 months old. And she is so intelligent. She is so much different than the day we pulled her out. Like, she is legitimately developing really well. She's big. She's she's talking in her own way, but she is doing it. She's having a time. I love it. What else do we have? Oh, yep. Okay. I'm going to wrap up here in a few minutes, but we put on Hercules and Mulan, the Disney movies, the cartoon ones, and she was watching these movies. I put a video up. You can check the Facebook for it. It's Penny's favorite movies. She was watching The Walking Dead, loving The Walking Dead, but now she is, oh my God, she is going batshit for these. She was looking, had her mouth wide open in a smile. She was bouncing on the bouncer. She was watching these movies. I'm like, you don't even know what's going on. And, some of these movies have some dark moments, they kind of glaze over because it's a cartoon, but she's just having a blast. So, new favorite movie, Hercules, Mulan. She was watching. Check that video out. She is talking, she's making noises, and she is just loving it, kicking her hands and smiling the entire time. Well, guys, it's been great talking to you again today. I am so happy for all of our listeners. I would like to thank our sponsors. I would like to thank our sponsors, but we do not have any sponsors. So if you would like to sponsor us, we are but an email away. I will talk to you all next week. I hope you enjoy the show. Again, as usual, I would appreciate it if anyone who listens would write an iTunes review. That would be great. It helps us show up for other people. Sometimes it's hard to find the show by just searching Shits and Giggles. You have to use the asterisk, but the more steam we get, the more likely we are to show up when people look for it. So there you go, and I will leave you, as always this week, with my world-famous words of wisdom. My kid is better than your kid, and vaccinate your kids or keep them the hell away from mine. I'm Matt Howes, and this has been Shits and Giggles, a podcast for dads. You've just listened to one dad's perspective on parenting. This show is not meant to be an authority on how you should raise your kids. Did you enjoy the show? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on social media. Leave a review. Anywhere that you can find and download podcasts, you can find Shits and Giggles. Find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at shitsandgigs42 with 2 G's. Email us at shitsandgigs42@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube as well by searching for Shits and Giggles, a podcast for dads. Don't forget, you can also call the hotline to leave a quick story about you as a parent at 818-835-2350. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.